Alright, so I'm going to pick up where we left off in right here. And it's got you, and it had us copying the U.S. county shapes and state. But I'm going to show you this. So right now I've got the county, and I actually did the growth of the counties, saying which counties have grown the most, and you can see them really good on a map like this. But if we go to put this map, and it wants us to have 6 of these, then you're not going to see those numbers. It looks way too fuzzy. So I'm changing it up just a little bit. We're going to do the states instead of the counties. So I'm going to go back to here. And I'm going ahead and putting it off to the side. And now if you noticed, if I would have said zoom extents, zoom to layer, it's got Hawaii and all down there. We can put the counties on there. I'm just going to remove that one, but you're not going to see it. I'm just going to remove it all together, because once we start plotting the other data, it's going to make a difference. Alright, so we've got that in there, and I've got the states in there, and we don't have to have this source and stuff. We've got the we're gonna create our own. So it wants us to I was just scrolling up just a little bit. So we're going to open the attribute table. Of course, the attribute table is huge. Actually should be $50 polygons, so it's got your 50 states. So that's not too big. So we are going to freeze. We want to freeze population 2002 and 2003 and bring it over to the right. So I'm going to click and say freeze, and you notice it puts it over here. I'm going to do the same thing to the 2003. Now in the PowerPoint it said to do 1990 and 1999. Well, we had gotten new historical data. We had gotten some new data. This is based off the data that's collected in April. I think we just did the 2020 census. So this is based off census data. So we only have the 2003 and 2002. So we're going to do that growth. So I'm going to go there, and then it wants us to create a calc 1, and we're going to make sure it's double, and I'll show you what that means. And then we're going to do a calc 2, and we're going to do a p growth. So where you go to is you go to your table options, add a field, and we're going to do calc _1. Now make sure you change this to double and hit OK. And see, I've actually created another field, a calc 1 field at one time. So let me see, no. And I'm going to scroll over there and get that and delete it from where I did it before. I practiced these. So I'm going to delete it. Yes. And I'm going to delete that. So if you mess up, you can just right click delete. So no big deal. If yours don't quite turn out like mine, don't stress out about it, because this is really programming issues, like programming. So this is the most advanced that we're going to get. So I hate that we're having to do this online. So I'm going to add a field. Again, it's calc _1. double. And I'm going to create another one. Calc underscore 2. Now make sure you change this to double or it's not going to do what we need it to do. And then the last one we're going to do, and I'm going up into the tables, and then I'm adding a field, and this one is going to be P growth. So it's a growth of the population. That's what it means. And double. And OK. And then we're going to scroll over, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to right-click freeze, because it said to do that. I'm going to do calculation 2, freeze. And we're going to do calculation 3. And we're going to freeze it as well. And I just click on the top and right-click. So it puts them all over here to your right side to where you can get to them. So I'm just going to make this down a little bit so you can kind of see what's going on. Alright, so we're going to do a formula. Now back then, of course, this is based off 1999 and 1990. And then the percentage, like a percentage. So you want the higher one on top. So I'll show you how to do these formulas. So don't worry about step 5. I'm going to walk you through it. Alright, so for calculation 1, we're going to right click and I'm going to go to field calculator. And it says, do you want to calc outside an editing session? I'm going to say yes. And I am going to do let me get down to where. Alright, I'm going to go down and I want to do the bigger growth, which will be 2003. So double click. And then you want to say divided by 2002. And just hit OK. Don't do any equal signs or anything. Just say OK. And there's my numbers. So look and see, you know, if your kind of numbers match up to that. If they're off a little bit, don't worry. We can fix it. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to right click Calc 2. I'm going to do field calculator. And yes. Now this one needs to be Calc 1 minus 1. So I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to find my Calc 1 that we just did. Minus, there's your minus sign. And then I'm going to put in 1. I'm just using 1 on my keyboard. And hit OK. And there's your numbers for that one. And you notice they're so much smaller. And then the third one is going to be the P growth. So I'm going to right click, field calculator, yes. Delete the formula, and it's Calc 2, and times, which is the little star, and I'm going to type in 100 from the keyboard. And there's my P growth numbers. So I have some below. And then you're going to see some that are way high. So we're good to go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and close this attribute table. So we've got everything done. Now it wants us to display the percentages based off the different classification methods that I talked about in the intro. So I'm going to get you there, so that's not a big deal. So I'm going to go to, I'm right clicking on States, Properties. And it's under Quantiles. And there's graduated colors right there. So I'm going to go with the P growth. So we want to do it on P growth. And the first one I'm going to do is the equal interval, because that's the way they have it in the PowerPoint, and I want to just kind of line them up. So you go to Classify, and I'm going to do equal interval. And OK. Now if I wanted to change some of these labels at this time, I could. I'm going to leave them the way they are, and but I could start going in here and say, okay, this is negative 0.7% to 2.3. I don't know why they make them these really weird ways, but I'm going to go ahead and go with that. Alright, so now I've got it, and it's going to show me, if you notice that the biggest percentage looks like it's in Nevada, but North Carolina's not too bad. Alright, so I'm going to change this, and I'm going to go to the Properties, and I'm naming it Equal Interval. Okay, so we know what that one is. Now, back in here, it says it wants us to do the P growth, display each method in its own data frame. So that means I've got to do 6 data frames to get all 6 of these. Not a problem. I'm going to insert a new data frame. I'm going to rename this one and call, let's see what my next one is. I'm going to do natural breaks. So I'm going to call this natural breaks. And now that's my active one. I probably can copy. I did. I'm going to right click on States, and I'm going to copy it, and then we're going to paste it. Did it? Copy. I'm going to make sure this is my active one. Yeah. And now I can paste it. So there's my next one. So natural breaks needs to be a little bit different. So if you double click on States, we can classify this one. This one is our natural breaks. So I'm going to go to Classify. Natural breaks. Apply. Okay. So it's a little different. Of course, it looks like some of the ones are the same, but you'll notice as we go on that they're going to turn out a little bit of different. I'm not changing any of my scales, but eventually we're going to change all the scales at one time to like 1 to 16,000. So I could do it now and do 1 to, I think they tell you to do 1 to 38, but it looks so big. So if I do to 1 to, I'm going to pan, and it would kind of look like that. And I can bookmark it if we want to, create a bookmark, and we're done with it. Alright, so I'm going to make this smaller again so I can kind of show you. And it's going to move it every time I do this, but not a big deal. We can fix it. Alright, I'm going to do standard deviation next. So I'm going to insert a new data frame, rename it under properties, and this is going to be standard deviation. And I'm gonna right click and paste layer. It's got them again, but remember now that was natural breaks, or probably the equal interval. So I'm going to go back, double click on the states, and this time I'm going to classify this one as standard deviation. There's the color change. We can change color changes, but I kind of like them to keep them the same so I can see the big differences. So there's that one. So it looks pretty cool. And then I'm going to do I'm going to go ahead and set my scale to 1 to 16,000. And I'm going to center it. Okay, so we got that. I'm going to go back out. And I'm just going to keep moving on. I may come back and set the different scales for you. Then I've got to do 3 more. I'm going to do a manual, define interval, and the quantile. So insert data frame, right click, properties, and now if you think there's this is really what if you need to do it at school, I will be on campus next week and the following week if y'all have any problems, and I can make sure that there is a computer for you on campus. Alright, so going back to this, I'm in manual, so I'm going to properties, and so we're going to go over here and classify this one as manual. Okay, got 2 left to go. Insert data frame, and this is going to be define interval. I'm not putting units or anything with it right now. Right click, paste my layer, and again, properties, this one we're going to change to defined interval. And last one, yay, we're almost there. This is quantile. And I'm going to paste layers. Properties, and this one, so under my classification is where I'm getting it at. Last one is alright, so we are pretty much so done with that. Alright, so it says he left out plenty, no legend, no scale bar, no north arrow, no labels. So I'm not putting north arrow. I'm going to put 1 north arrow. I'm going to put 1 scale. We'll probably need to put some type of legend. And we'll go from there. And then it's going to say it's going to want us to do our data frame properties. Let me see if I can do them now. Okay, so there's the size and position. So let me, right now this is Quantiles, probably my active one. So I'm going to right click properties, and it says use 3.4 by 2.4 inches. I'm going to make it a little smaller, 3.2 by 2.2. If you do the other one, it's not a big deal. So we've got that one. Then I'm going to go to the define interval. I'm going to right click, I'm going to make that one active. And then we're going to properties. And we're going to change that one to 3.2 and 2.4. And then I'm going to right click on the manual one. This is by far the hardest one that we will do. Even the other two are really simple and easy. This one's the hardest one. So don't give up. Properties. 3.2. Oh man, I messed up. Properties. 3.2, 2.2. And I'll show you what that's going to do in a minute. So activate, so to be able to change it, (3.2), 2.4, 2.2. Activate. I'm almost there. We'll be there in just a second. Properties. And remember, it's under size and position. So if you didn't, so 3.2. And my last one. Properties. 3.2 and 2.2. Alright, so now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because I want to show you, it's going to tell us to do the scale. So I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger for you to kind of see what I've got going on. And now I'm nowhere near it. I'm going to go to the layout tab, and you remember you can go to either view and layout now, and it looks like they're all on top of each other, so I'm not sure which one's which. I'm going to kind of pull them out. That's what's bad. Looks like one of them's a different size too. So actually I've got a different size on one of these. You're like, which one does? No, I guess they do look alright. That one looks a little bit bigger. So you can right click and say properties, and it'll tell me which one it is. So that one's my defined interval one. So I must not have my, that must have been the original numbers. Alright, so I'm going to go back over here and activate that one. And do my properties. Size and position. Oh, it's 2.2. I had 2.4. Okay, so now they're all good. But my scales aren't. So I'll show you one way to easily do all the scales on these. If I do 1 to, in the PowerPoint they did 1 to like 38,000. and it turned out really, really small. So I'm gonna copy, Control C, and copy it. So I Controlled C and copied it, and I'm gonna hit enter, and this way I can center the drawing. Alright, so the next one, I'm gonna go up to manual. I'm gonna activate it, and I'm gonna do Control V, hit enter, and we can do the same thing with that one. You can bookmark it if you want to. You can bookmark them. That way they'll be there when you come back. Right click, activate. That one had the one to, I had that one from earlier. That one's a lot prettier colors. And you can change your colors. I could have went with some other colors. I'm going to activate this one. Of course, that's my 1 to 16,000 too, so I got that one. And I'm going to hit bookmark it. And it looks like I already have a bookmark, so I'm going to bookmark it again. And then activate. And this one I don't. So I'm going to hit Control V, hit enter. And then I'm going to center it to where it kind of looks okay. And then I'm going to bookmark it. Alright, so now we're going to go back to our layout view. And all of them turned out good, but these two. No, they didn't. Alright, so this one is my standard deviation one. I don't know why that didn't turn out right. Let's see if I do it there. Nope. That did not work either. Let me go back over. That's not a... I bet I know what it was. I just caught on to it. This would be, see if we do them all at the, let's see what the PowerPoint said. 38. I've got some at 43. We're going to do 38 and see if they all come out the same. Might not. Nope, that didn't work either. Okay, so I'm going to go back to where I was working at. I thought I had found a new way to do it. Okay. Okay, so that one's good. Go back to my layout. That looks good, really good. This one looks good. This one doesn't. So let me start labeling these. So this property, this one, so what I'm going to do is I'm right clicking and saying properties so I can see which data frame that one is. That one's the equal interval. So that's your top one, and you can see it highlighted one. So I'm gonna insert a title, and I'm gonna call that equal interval, EQUAL. And then I can put that right above it, and then I know which one goes to which data frame. Okay, so that one's good, and then this is the standard deviation. All I did was click on it, and you notice it highlighted it dark over here. So I'm going to do another insert another title. And I'm going to, if you notice what I did, I went to insert. I'm going to double click it, and I'm just going to type standard deviation. Apply, okay. So there's my next one. And then this one is natural breaks, and this is the one I've got the scale wrong on. So I'm going to go back over to data view, and looks like the scale's good, so I'm not sure what the deal is with it. I'm going to go to activate, because actually it wasn't. It's standard deviation. I'm going to activate it. It's got 1 to 16,000. I don't know what's going on. That's natural breaks. That's what I keep doing wrong. Activate. I just went ahead and reset it again just to make sure. And let's look at it. Nope, for some reason that one's not fitting. Properties, natural breaks. On the screen, everything is looks good that well, there it is, already got off again. And if it doesn't, we're going to do the next best thing. I'm going to bookmark it. This is bookmark 3. Now look at that, it worked fine. Okay, so this one is natural breaks. I'm going to create, insert a title, move it down here. I'm going to go ahead and label what it is. And this one's natural breaks. Okay, so we got that one. This one is the manual. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert a title again. And this is gonna be my manual. Now, of course, I made that a little bigger, so I'm just gonna shorten it down a little bit. So this one's manual. This one looks good. This is the define interval, and I can see by it makes it dark over here. If not, you can right click and hit properties, and under general it would tell me what it is. So I could copy and paste that, Control C, and then insert a new title, and Control V. Learning something new. And then the last one is looks like Quantit. I'm going to right click just to check. It is. I'm going to Control C. And I'm going to go ahead and put my title in before I go in and change the scale. Alright, so we got it pretty much so looking good. so I'm going to go over and activate the Quantitile because I don't have that one set up right. And then you got to go back to Data View. So you can either go to View, Data View here, and I'm going to set this. I'm going to go to my bookmark. Nope, I didn't even bookmark it. So this needs to be 1 to 16 million. And then I'm going to center it. And hopefully, yep, there we go. So we are good. Alright, so I'm going to do a couple other things and then we're going to do grids. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my last title. And this title is going to be Mod 8, Module 8. And I'm going to go ahead and just put my name in there. And that'll be where my name is. And I'm going to go ahead and insert, I'm not going to do a legend, I'm going to do a north there. I'm going to just put the north there up at the top, kind of out of the way. Because all of them have the same north arrow, I'm going to move my title over because I'm going to put my scale up here if I can. And we're going to insert a scale. And I'm just going to use the first one that's miles. And it did decimal degrees, so I must be in decimal degrees. So let me go back. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and just set, I'm going to go back over and activate just one of them. And I'm going to go to Data View. And if you know, I'm going at the Data View at the bottom. And I'm going to right click Properties. And I'm going to change this to miles. I probably could have changed it anyhow, a different way. I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to go back to Layout View. I think that's that same one that's been, it is that same one I just went in. It changed my scale again. So if you notice, I went back to bookmarks, my last bookmark, and then it should be good. Yep, we're good. And I'm going to insert a scale. And there's my scale now. And then I'm going to just make it a little smaller, 1 to the 3000. Alright, and then the last thing, I'm going to go ahead and show you the PowerPoint. The last thing it wanted us to do was put on some grids. So adding grids to our maps. And there are different ways you can look at adding the grids. It says you can divide them up, maps into meridians, which is what we're going to do. You could do ones, that's what is giving you a lat and long, and I think that looks best. You could, if it was a smaller scale in a subdivision and you wanted to do it by a smaller coordinate system, that's where you would do measured grid, and then the last one would be adding. You could do like grids with A's in one, but that works more with small ones. Alright, so we're going to do it, we're going to do a grid, and this is kind of what it's telling you. We're going to do a grid, and we're going to do the top one. So let's get down to here. And once we get done with this, we're pretty much so done with the whole one. Okay, so I'm going to go into equal intervals. Right click Properties, and there's grids over here, and I'm going to do a new grid. I'm going to do the first one, hit Next, And you can change these to where if you wanted to do these degrees every 20 degrees, I'm just going to see what happens. And I'm just going to let it go through and finish everything for me. Apply. Okay. So now I got a grid. And that doesn't look too bad. So I think I'm going to do all of them with 20 and 20. So you're going to click on the next one, is standard deviation. Right click, properties, grid. It's going to be a new one. I'm going to do divides the map by meridians and parallels. So the first one, parallels. And I just let everything else to be default. I'm going to change it just to 20 so it doesn't look too big. But you can edit it later on. Apply. And see, they start kind of, and that's my problem I had earlier, they start overlapping after a while if you're not careful. So I'm kind of shifting them. It is going to overlap. What I did is we can make it a tiny bit smaller if we need to. That way don't overlap. And I'm just kind of neatening it up a little bit. I'm going to slide this one over. So I think if I just slide them over a little bit, it'll catch everything. Now, it doesn't, I'll show you how they have it. I'm just sliding them over. Alright, so we're going to right click, properties, new grid, next, 10. I'm going to leave 10 just to show you what it looks like on this one. And see how much you have on there. And it's just your preference. If I wanted to change it back, I could go to properties. And then I'm going to hit properties. Intervals. And I can change them to 20 now. It's up to you. There's no wrong or right on this because they said just use your choice. You just want these pretty. Properties. New grid. Next. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and change it to 20 now. So we're almost done with this one. Next, oh, back. 20, 20, finish. If you do 10, you do 25. It's your preference. There's not a right or wrong on this one. Alright, so now I've got everything. Now, here's the thing. If you try to put a legend, we really probably should put some type of legend, but here's the thing. Each one would have to have a separate legend in there, and you get that in there, it's just going to be way, way too big. So that's, I'll show you. So if I'm in here and I say insert a legend, and it's just with states. That's the legend right there. And it just kind of tells you the growth. And that one was for the natural break, so it was for this one right here. But you would have to shrink it way down and way down more to even get it to fit in there, and still looks like that, and then it's still way too small. Something like that, and you can't hardly see it. So I mean, we could do that. You're like, no, I don't want to, but that's how it would work, just so you could kind of tell. So I mean, I could activate, insert legends. You're like, when is this going to end? gotta move that back. So that one's equal interval. It throws it right in the middle of that one. That's why I don't like it. Gotta make it smaller. See if I can get it fitted in there. Standard deviation. Activate. Insert a legend. And I'm just hitting next. Now these colors are different, if you can tell, on this one, so I'm going to drag it up and shrink it down. Just way too much work. Activate. So I'm right clicking activate and then hitting insert a legend. Next. I'm going to go ahead and just drag it off to the side and then I'll move it over. So you kind of see how it can be done. And then the last, I'm going to go ahead and save. I haven't saved, and I haven't saved it all. So I just saved. And the last step is going to be File, Export Your Map. So don't attach the MDX for me, because if so, it's not going to have your layers. So you're going to save it as a PDF. I'm going to go ahead and save it on my desktop. So I'm going to go all the way up to the top and save it on my desktop, and it's going to save as a PDF. And then I'm going to finish doing these real quick. Activate, do my legend. Drag it. Make it smaller, fit it in, still got to make it smaller. Well, that works. And last one, activate, insert legend, next. I'm just going right through it. Shrinking it down, bringing it in. Still need to shrink it down. Alright, so we are ready to submit. So I'm going to actually save it again. I'm going to File, Export the Map again. It's got it under the PDF again. I'm going to hit Save. Yes. I'm going to minimize. And once you get through, we're done with the first exercise. So there's a little two-parter for this one. So I'm going to check my PDF and see what it looks like. Right click, open. And that would be it. So that's what you could attach in Blackboard. And it kind of gives us a growth. So if I needed to look in and see if I can see them little bitty legends, I can. So that's a wrap. If y'all got any questions, please let me know.